Hi,
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. You enjoying a rainy day?
It's actually been not that bad. I love this weather.
Really? Okay.
I grew up with
Uh,
a lot of typhoons
oh,
from
okay.
my
All right.
island.
All right. So this is mild. Yes. Um, I was living in Portland, and Portland has a different type of rain where it's kind of a mist. It's not like this heavy rain, so it's a little different. But
Mm.
I went for a run anyway. I was disciplined. I still was out there running, had my rain gear on, running through it. So, yes. So we'll wait a couple more minutes, couple more people, let a couple more people join. So,
Okay,
yes. I love your bookshelf there. You got the beautiful, I love the
thank
yellow. Is that
you.
yellow? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. It pops out. That's good. I encourage reading.
Yes, definitely. I always say we should open up a library so people can borrow our books because there's just piles and piles all over the apartment.
That's good. That's good. Um, So yeah, no, we'll get started. So welcome everyone to another show of No Matter What. So no matter what, we're going to lift the brown and black voice. I'm super excited to have a guest here, Pensy, who's been involved with the organization for a long time. And Pensy, I know you're not a brand new mother, but little Charlie, you got little Charlie going. How's he doing?
He's doing really well. He's 7 months now. I had him during the beginning of the pandemic in mid-March. Um, People
Wow.
keep saying how difficult it must be to have a kid during a pandemic, but I don't know any different. And
Okay.
that was just my experience.
Totally. So
Yeah.
I have a nephew and I went to go see my nephew maybe two or 3 months ago, and he's a COVID baby as well. And like trying to like say hi to him, he was like, "Wait, who are you? You're a person that I don't know." Does Charlie kind of
Um,
have that, or has he been socialized to other people?
we go out on walks a lot, so he sees a lot of other people. And I think he's an extrovert. He loves being out and about and seeing things and talking to people.
Great, great. So I know you're busy with Charlie, and you're doing some amazing things with us as well. So I know there's a 5K right now
Mhm.
that the Leadership Council is planning. So kind of you managing Charlie, but then you're also trying to get this 5K going that's coming up. So could you tell everybody a little bit about that and how that got started?
Yeah, so Friends New York, we're hosting our first virtual 5K. It's really exciting. This is in lieu of a bowl-a-thon that we normally have during this time to raise money and raise awareness for Friends New York. But we're doing a 5K this year, which is more appropriate for our times. But it's so great because anyone, anywhere can literally join the 5K. You can
Okay.
be in Korea, you can be in California. You do it at your own time. You can do it with friends, bring a friend along, bring family along, and run a 5K. And we're going to have a virtual event at the end of the 5K to see who the winners are, too. But
Oh, okay.
mhm,
Now, are there prizes for the winners, you said?
there are prizes. They are a secret right now, but
Okay.
you all know them if you join the 5K.
So I know you mentioned the bowl-a-thon, and you said you normally have that. So and I know a little bit about them. I mean, I know a lot about this, but so you're the leadership council, and they plan an event every year, and they normally have a, a bowl-a-thon, but obviously you can't have that. So this leadership council, can you tell us about that? Tell everyone.
Yeah, so I joined the Leadership Council in 2014. This was when I first met my husband, Richard. He actually took me to the charity gala as our third date, the Friends New York gala on our third date.
I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, and we both joined the Leadership Council right after that gala because he had already known about the organization, but we were both so enamored by it that we wanted to learn more about it and see how we could be a part of this amazing movement that you guys are doing. So that's how I joined way
Wow.
back.
So we're responsible for Charlie. In a way, Friends of Children are responsible for
Yeah,
Charlie.
responsible for the last 6 years of my life.
That's awesome. I did not know that story.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you join the leadership council, and how often do you meet? What do you meet about?
hmm So we meet about once a month, and we talk about the goals of the organization in general, and we see ways that we can plug in and help. A lot of fundraising, a lot of raising awareness through online media. And we also get to participate and meet the kids and help with them. So I was thinking back to some of the activities I've done with you guys. We've gone to Rye Playland and Amusement Park. That was one of the highlights of my involvement, just to see and play, just get to know the achievers on a more personal level. That was really great. And then the Bowl-a-thon every year, where we raise a lot of money. I think we've raised over $60,000 in previous years. So the 5K, we have a high goal this year too, to raise $55,000.
Yes. All right. So everyone out there, start stretching so you can help support our mission. And so I know you mentioned the movement. And so our organization, we support 100% of our kids are Black and Latinx kids. So what kind of excited you, or why did you want to help Black and Latinx kids in New York City?
Mm-hmm. So I grew up under the poverty line in Guam for most of my childhood, and all of my friends growing up were people of color, like not white. I think I knew 2 white people my entire life. So this is kind of my community that I grew up with, and to see how much they have to struggle here, it's just really not fair. So that's why I wanted to get plugged in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, and thank you for doing that. So tell me a little bit more about Guam. You are the second person that I've met that is from Guam. It's not a big island, but it's definitely a beautiful island. So tell us a little bit more about Guam.
It's so small. It's 30 miles long. No one really believes that.
Okay. All right.
It's 30 miles long and 4 to 12 miles wide. Tiny island. It's between Japan and Australia, and it's somewhere all year round there. It's like Hawaii, but further towards Asia.
I checked. It's 20 hours to get there. Is it 20 hours or a little bit more than that to get there?
A little more, yeah. With layovers, it usually takes at least like 22, 24 hours to get there.
Wow. And what's the so you told me about the weather, like the food. What's a good dish? A good dish from Guam.
So good. All of the barbecue, we marinate our barbecue. We don't use barbecue sauce. That's a big no-no. We eat red rice, red-colored rice that's seasoned. We have a dish called chicken kelaguen, which is like chopped up chicken and onions and hot pepper and lemon juice all mixed together, and we eat it with tortilla. Yeah, a mix of, I guess, Hawaiian food and Spanish food and Asian. It's like a big melting pot.
Yeah, and where did red rice come from? How did that?
I don't know.
The origin of that, you don't? Okay.
I don't know, but the indigenous people of Guam, the Guamanians, they're called the Chamorro people, Chamorro, and they've been there for many, many years, and their culture is very rich. And they have a lot of their own foods.
Yeah, no, I was reading. It said like 4,000 years they've been there for a long time. They go way back. I mean, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. All right, and there's a military base on it as well. How does that work? You get the military base, American military base in Guam. What's the connection there?
Yeah, so Guam is a U.S. territory, and we have a big military presence, but you don't quite see it day to day. There's a huge naval base and a huge army base on the north and south ends, and we have a lot of aircraft carriers. One of my field trips in middle school was touring an aircraft carrier. That was really cool. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So we talked about the 5K. We talked about why it's so important to help Black and Latinx people in this country, especially in the city. And we talked about your most important job, Charlie, but you do have a day job that pays the bills. Tell us a little bit more about that. You're in the marketing, correct?
Yep, I work in digital marketing, and I love helping female-led businesses with their online presence and helping get the word out. Currently, I'm working with a lot of mommy and baby brands, because that's where all my focus is right now. But I help them build a bigger presence online. I help get the word out. I help increase their bottom line. And I just love creating great stories to tell to people about the brand and about the mission and what's inspired these founders to start their companies.
So how'd you get into digital marketing? What made you say digital marketing versus like the traditional marketing? What made you go
Yeah.
that direct route? Yeah.
So it's so weird to think that when I was in high school, digital marketing wasn't a thing. I
Yeah.
think the internet didn't even start until I was, well, not, I didn't know about the internet until I was in middle school, and we didn't have a computer until I was in high school. So this whole thing is so new, and the trajectory has just exponentiated in our lifetime, which is so crazy to think about. And I got into digital marketing in college. I was actually trying to apply to internships and getting turned down to every single internship, and I needed to get one over the summer. So I went on LinkedIn and I looked at all these people were asking questions about email and social media and design, and I just started Googling what they were asking and answering all their questions. And someone was like, "Oh, the next time you're in New York, I'd love to get coffee with you." And during our coffee meeting, he was like, "So what's your rate? How much do you charge?" And I was like,
Oh,
"What?" I was like, "Oh, give me a minute. I'll let you know how much I
oh
charge."
yeah. Wow. There you go. You know, that's so interesting. I often tell people if you just give back to people and just try to do right by people, usually opportunities come that way. And so here you were just trying to help somebody out and they just said, "Hey, I'll pay you for this." That's really cool. Huh. And what do you think is like the key to creating a digital presence, or really growing it?
Growing it or
Yes.
creating it?
Uh,
Like there's a
growing it.
little bit growing
Growing
it.
it. Yes.
I think a lot of it is the story behind the brand or the organization, having a really strong storyline that you can share in multiple different ways. And a lot of it is really repeating yourself too, because when you post something on any platform, maybe 10% of people might see it.
Mm.
So a lot of it is posting the same things repeatedly, but in different ways, with a different photo, with a slightly different message, but making sure that every time you're posting, your message is on brand, and that's what makes you really memorable too.
Totally. So I can imagine, I mean, this was growing pre-COVID, and since COVID, all we can do is look at our platforms or look on our devices. So I'm sure business has really taken off for you since COVID hit and you had a baby and then businesses started taking off. How was that?
It
What was the
was
response?
busy. I think the second month I had Charlie, I was getting all these inquiries um, because everyone suddenly needed to learn how to do email marketing, and they needed to start making social ads and all these things. So I started referring out, actually, giving other
Oh,
people some business, just
wow.
passing on the work.
Yes. So yeah, and you mentioned, I know you mentioned your passion for Black people and Latinx, and you know you just being around that, and then you mentioned working helping women grow their business, their digital
Mhm.
presence. I mean, so you definitely have a passion or connected to like marginalized people. I know you said that came from your beginnings. What else? I
Mhm.
mean, your parents. How did your parents influence that? I'm always interested in like, what was that moment where you were like, you know what, I really want to help like the underdog.
Yeah. So I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in China and
Yes.
moved to Guam when I was 2.5. And my parents did all sorts of odd jobs, odds and ends to make ends meet. And I didn't know the term entrepreneur at the time, but they were definitely the OG entrepreneurs of my life. They've done so many businesses. My dad used to flip cars. My mom learned how to sew. They bought an alteration shop, and she learned how to make wedding dresses. All these different things that they had to learn and pick up so we can save and make money so I could go to college and all that. So that's where I got that's where I got the notion of entrepreneurship and the drive.
Wow. To drive. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And how did they transition? They tried a business, and if the business didn't work, they just said, you know, I'm gonna try something else, and that's his kind of was mentality, their mentality.
A little bit, yeah. They were always doing multiple jobs at the same time, but their last business, which I think really set us off to a good start, was the alteration business. It was also a
Mm.
laundromat, And actually, my family and we lived in the laundromat for a couple years. And I remember the bathroom was also the commercial bathroom that
Okay.
everyone else would use. And it was so small that like it was literally like this narrow, the width of a toilet. And the shower was also that wide. And the window out of the shower was the parking lot. And I
Wow.
didn't realize how different that was until like earlier today. I was thinking back about my story and sharing it here of all that experience growing up.
Wow. Wow. But that definitely keeps you centered though. I think having those type of experiences always keep you centered and remember what's really important. That's
Hmm.
amazing. Now, did you work sometimes and do some alterations yourself, or you just was in the books?
I was in the books. I going to all sorts of classes after school, playing
Mm.
piano,
Wow.
SAT tutoring, all of that. I
Yeah.
was busy.
So yeah, we have a question. Somebody wants to know the population of the island.
Yeah, so around a million people now, around 100,000 residents, 30% indigenous people, the Chamorro, 30% Asians, so like Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Filipinos, and then a mix of everyone else. And
Okay.
there are over a million tourists a year. So tourism is the main industry.
Wow, wow. No, I definitely want to go there and just learn more about the island. I always pick someplace um, far from here to go and someplace warm. Especially this time of year, I normally go someplace really warm. How are your parents doing? How's the island doing with COVID? How they're
I
coping
think
with
they're
it?
still shut down.
Okay.
Yeah, ever since June, that's when so they came for a couple months to help out with the baby. And since they've been back since June, the island's been shut down. They've just been hanging out at home.
Wow. Is it limited cases there? Were they able to kind of make
I
sure
think
that
it was pretty
nothing? Yeah.
limited, but I don't think Guam is such a small island. They wouldn't have all the resources if it spread. So I think they're just playing it safe, which is good, and minimizing any opportunity for anything.
Yeah. Now, do your parents still have the shop, the
They
business? Is they
do,
still?
yeah, it's
Yes,
closed
yes.
down.
Oh, yes, close. Yeah, yeah. That's good. No, that's amazing. No, so I always end with, with this question here. And we talked about so many good things, but uh, let me see. So as a mother, no matter what, if you're leaving the house, no matter what, besides diapers and milk, what do you make sure you bring with you with Charlie, no matter what?
Burp cloth because he's a
Okay.
spitter. Spits up all the time.
Is that right?
He
Yeah.
used to just projectile out.
Okay.
Now it kind of just dribbles.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, burp cloth.
Bird clock, so important. That's good. All right. Well, I don't know what that says about baby Charlie. Let's see how he develops. No, and I want to thank you, Penzi, for being involved with the organization for so long, and Richard. It's good seeing you two grow and seeing that you have a young family now, and I look forward to getting Charlie involved in the future. So thank you so much for everything that you
Yeah.
do.
Thank
Yep,
you for having me on here too.
no problem. All right, thank you.
Oh, wait, one last thing.
Okay.
Everyone, go to the link in Friends of the Children NY's bio and click and learn more about the 5K because we want all of you to participate and learn more about this amazing organization. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to DM me and I will be happy to chat with you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you much. All right. Have a great night. Talk to you
Good
soon.
night.